Good morning, peeps. So this story is the time that I smashed my first guitar solo. So not smash my first guitar. I don't think I'll ever do that. Maybe if I get a really cheap guitar one day, that'd be pretty fun to try out. But how I got into guitar, a little bit of backstory to this. How I got into guitar was when I was already like 6 years old. I was thinking about the guitar. 6 might be a bit young, but it was around that time where where guitar just randomly became a thing. Like, I didn't even really know much about guitar or anything like that, but I know that I was young. I was still in prep school and the beginning of prep school when for some reason I had this overwhelming thought of I want a guitar, and I didn't know why, because I never really had a passion before. I loved video games, and back then I realized now it was a passion, but I didn't realize it was back then. I just thought it was something I loved to do. I had never had this feeling with anything else, and then guitar came along, and I didn't have a guitar. I didn't know about guitar. I wasn't even listening to music very much. Like, I still had to grow up and learn about my passion about music, but for some reason I was adamant I want to get a guitar. Finally my mom says, okay, cool, we can get you a guitar. I get this tiny little guitar that is so small that it might as well have been a ukulele, except it was a guitar. It was an acoustic guitar, and I start joining guitar lessons at school. The music teacher said I'm too big for this guitar, so she arranged with one of the smaller students if we could swap guitars, which is awesome. I think I still have that guitar. Oh no, actually I don't think I have it anymore, which actually kind of sucks, but whatever. It was a very old and breaking down guitar, so I did get a different acoustic in the end. But that was the start, and the interesting thing about it is that when I started playing guitar and started doing that stuff, I didn't actually enjoy it. Initially, it was kind of fun because there were people around that I used to be friends with. I wasn't really anymore at this point, but still it was fun to interact. Just because through school, people start being authentic and they start becoming more like their parents or something like that. You know, they start being more adults, but not mature adults. So all the insecurities come out, and that's pretty much why I lost a lot of people through school, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Got a guitar, didn't actually enjoy it. I did learn about like how to place my fingers, and I did learn that I learned that I wasn't that bad at it, but I still didn't really want to continue. And then not everyone, but a couple people were yelling at me that I quit everything, and I'm like, well, I give it a shot, you know. The whole point of trying new things is to see if you're enjoying it or not. And here's the thing is, I wasn't enjoying it, and then I started learning differently, and I started loving it. First, I had to realize what sort of music I like to listen to. So all the way from prep school, all the way into high school, grade 8 it started slowly becoming a thing, but it wasn't. I would still do things like skip music lessons because I didn't like that it took so much time. Music took so much time that I didn't think I had at the time, even though I did have it, but whatever. Time management not used to be my strong suit. Eventually, at the end of grade 8 into grade 9, I found that I found my sound. I started getting more into music over time, but then the guitar hit me when I heard Sweet Child of Mine by, obviously everyone knows it, Guns N' Roses. And I heard it and I was like, wow, this is actually phenomenal. And that was when I decided that I want to play guitar properly. So in grade 8, I got an electric guitar, which was the start. And I was really enjoying and loving that I had this freaking electric guitar. But then school made me not hate it, but dislike it because of various reasons. Finally, I heard this, I was like, yes, I want to play like that. And I started working a little harder on it. Although I still was, every time I got on stage, just wait for it to say turn left.
Turn left.
Except every time I got on stage, it was still a thing of, I just can't do it. I just can't seem to play it. You know, I can play it fine when I'm alone. Sometimes, usually I struggle a lot, but I was really struggling to get the right finger work going and stuff like that. And then one day the music teacher gave me the solo of a song. We started doing a song and it had a guitar solo, and he said, Josh, you're gonna do the guitar solo. And I worked so hard. I worked and I worked and I worked, and I played it multiple times on stage, multiple times for exams. I always f***ed up the solo. Sorry, I always fricked up the solo. And then finally, on the last day of school, I think it was at the end of grade 9. On that last day of school, it might not even have been the last day of the year, but it was the last day before holidays came. I don't remember which ones. But, or at least it was within the last week before the holidays came. So everything was fun and we were just like playing around. And one of the things we got to do was all the music bands got to perform for the rest of the grade and a couple of the other grades. And I had never performed in front of such a big crowd before. But here's the thing, is because I had performed so much up until now and fucked up so much up until now, I wasn't super nervous. I was nervous enough that you should be before you perform. You should be that little additional nervous that will help you, it'll actually promote you to play better. I was just that amount of nervous. I wasn't nervous like if I was for an exam or any of the performances before. And we were playing and we were jamming and everyone was jiving in the thing, because that's another thing, is before you play for school, right? So people aren't jamming and jiving and having fun with the music, they're just watching. But this time people were actually listening and enjoying. You know, people didn't know the song, people didn't know that we could play like this, so we were really enjoying it. And then the solo came and I absolutely nailed it. Every single note, every bend, every nook and cranny of finger work that the solo needed, because it's an easy solo now, but it wasn't easy back then. It was freaking hard. It would still be technical. It's technical, so it's not that it's not easy or not hard. It's not any either. It's just that it's a technical solo with bends and stuff like that. So I had to, you know, I struggled with it back then. But this one, I just got it. I just smashed it. It's like I wasn't thinking at all. My mind just took over and said, okay, cool, let's do this. Not my mind, my body took over and said, cool, let's do this. So my mind kind of switched off a bit. The solo just happened. I was just like, my fingers are just doing this. And as the solo happened, all the girls in the crowd screamed. And I was like, yes, dude, this is what I like. So that's when I started realizing my passion was, if I started working really, really hard on guitar and learning all the songs that I wanted to learn and being really proud of it, and then presenting it to others that they can be proud of it as well, that's what I wanted. So yes, that was a little bit of a, I forget the words, there's psychological terms for this, where you're intrinsically focused versus extrinsically focused. But back in high school, I was basically all extrinsically focused, because I didn't have any, I didn't get that through my childhood. So I had to, in high school, I started trying to find it elsewhere. And guitar was the main place for me to do that in the end. And it did work a lot, but I then grew up and realized that guitar is a lot more fun when you learn something for your own self and you're proud of it for yourself. Don't get me wrong, showing it off is awesome and I still love to do it, but it's a lot less showy offy and it's a lot more me on my guitar, and people can watch if they want to. Whereas back in the day, I always wanted people to be watching, so sometimes I didn't even play that well because I was more focused on the viewership. But yeah, so that's the story, that's kind of my backstory behind music and guitar, and leading into the time that I smashed a guitar solo on stage. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, liking, subscribing. Leave a comment if you're a musician as well, if you play anything. The song, by the way, that we played was Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. So if you know that song or you want to check it out, you want to hear the guitar solo there, you can go ahead and check it out. And I'll see you in the next video.